If you're like me, the whole idea of programming a servo to do more than just moving back and forth is a little fuzzy. Hitec's HFP-30 servo programmer and tester clears up a lot of that. The controls really are pretty simple and don't take long to get used to using. Like a lot of things, there's nothing better than a little experience. The HFP has a test and programming mode, and that's selected by the slider switch on the end. The servo port is for doing just about all of the testing and programming. Say you have two servos, like for a split elevator, that need to move the same way. Program one to do what you want in the servo port, plug the other servo into the sync port, and you can tell it to learn exactly what the other servo's doing. The USB port isn't mentioned in any of the literature, so it's a little mysterious. But it's just for applying firmware updates if one ever becomes necessary. One of the things I really like about the HFP-30 is that you power it with a battery pack from the outside. You just need to use battery voltage that's compatible with the servos you're working with. Just plug the battery pack in and the HFP-30 is ready to go. This is the test mode where you can test just about any servo on the market. Move the slider the other way and you go into programming mode for Hitec servos. There's a link in the description that takes you to the full review, and we discuss more on the individual programs available. And we list the groups of Hitec servos that are compatible with this programmer. I'm going to see if this old Spectrum servo still listens to signal. Testing in these servos is rather basic, but it does tell you if the servo is listening to signal, and you can feel if there's any broken teeth. Soon after getting this programmer, I had a plane go down due to a faulty receiver. None of the servos appeared to be damaged, and I want to use them in another plane. So one at a time, I plug them into the tester, and the tester automatically reads the programming in the servo. With the HFP-30 in the test mode, I can see if the servo listens to signal. I can also feel for broken teeth in the gear train. Since these servos are going in a new airplane, I want to set them back to factory default to make sure that there's no programming that's going to give me a problem later on. Dial up the factory default setting and push the button, and it takes it right back to the way it came out of the factory. I'm brand new to using the HFP-30, but it only took me a few minutes to do 8 servos and check their operation and reset them to factory default. One of the functions of these servos that can literally save an airplane is the overload protection. This is a Hitec 5000 series servo, and we're going to show you how you set it up with this programmer. I plugged the servo into the servo port on the programmer. We only use the sync port when we're matching up a couple of servos. Then we plug a battery into the programmer and set it to the program mode. Then I can move to the 5,000 and 7,000 programming areas. The program reads the servo and gets all of the settings. Then I scroll down and find the OLP setting, that's the overload protection. And here we can see that the servo is currently not using the overload protection. Now we select overload protection and dial in the amount of change we want. And we can use anything from 10 to 50% of a power reduction. This is how much current the servo itself will cut back on if it runs into a stall position. I always use this on throttle servos especially, but anything else that could run into a stall. With the amount of protection you want dialed in, you can back out of the program and it saves the settings. So if you're using Hitec servos and still kind of in the fog about programming them, the Hitec HFP-30 could be just what you need. This programmer makes it very easy to dial your servos in so they perform best in your plane.